I am Dan Moloughney, broker of record with Ottawa Urban Realty, and I'm joined by Marc Bornais.
Salesperson with Ottawa Urban Realty.
And
I'm Sue Dunton from, I'm a broker at LePage Performance Realty.
We're here just to talk about what's going on in the real estate as of today, which is April 3rd, 2020. So let's actually step it back. Sue, what did you see happening in the market, let's say up until about Friday, March 13th?
Friday, March 13th. I thought that the market was off to a roaring start. In fact, it barely slowed down from 2019. And I felt like we all had our running shoes on, since January 1st. I did notice just a few days ago, it sort of has slowed in terms of showing activity, new listings, that kind of thing. But I certainly think transactions have still occurred based on what we're seeing. It's just, I saw Nancy Allen on Remax on a video yesterday, and she said it's business as unusual, not as usual.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great phrase.
I agree. Yeah. Marc, and you're seeing lots of sales happen as well, I believe, and watching certain neighborhoods. Do you still see multiple offers happening?
Definitely. It depends definitely on the neighborhood, but from what I'm seeing in the suburbs in Canada and Barrhaven in Orleans, and also in Alta Vista, Westboro, on desired properties that are coming up, and a lot of the properties that are kind of in a price range more in the 400,000 to 800,000, 900,000 range are getting multiple offers still. Sure. But like Susan said, I don't see, it has kind of tapered off in the past week, where I have seen less coming on the market, and a little bit slow. Like things I see on an offer day, things are taking a little bit longer, and that's probably just set up with people, clients. But yeah, I definitely still see multiple offers.
Yeah, your microphone might not be positioned very well, Marc. I'm not sure, but if you could maybe get close to it next time, okay? So I agree with everything both of you had said. Like, certainly I would say there's less listings coming on and there's probably less buyers active, but any good property looks like it's selling with multiple offers. And there's buyers out there that need to buy, and lots of people will say, oh, what are they doing out there, and what are we doing out there? We're servicing our clients is what I'm saying, and we're doing our best to help them, ones that need to buy or sell right now. You guys agree?
Yeah, it's such interesting times. I know that most everybody I've been talking with, most of the realtors, it's done virtually, and there's very, very few in-person showings, and there's very strict protocols in place. I know from our company at LePage, it's strictly enforced, and there's a high degree of caution. And certainly we're signing declarations with our clients before entering any property. But the fact remains, there are people that do have immediate needs, and we signed under agency law. We owe them a fiduciary duty. So there's a dilemma going on every day in most realtors' minds and hearts, but at the end of the day, I see them trying to do whatever they can to help their client in these extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, it's called a state of emergency. So
yeah.
Okay, and as an aside, actually, I'll just bring up we in the Ottawa Real Estate Board use a tool called Showing Time, which most brokerages use for booking appointments, and they have a tool on their website to see how the showings are going over time. This is for all of the U.S., but we can do Ontario. And we're comparing it with last year. And as of today, we're 78%, just over 78% down in showings as of yesterday compared to last year in the Ottawa Real Estate Board. So it means people aren't going and booking showings unless they have to, which I think is really good. I personally haven't shown a house in over a week. And the last time I had disposable gloves,
Yeah.
in-house shoes, outdoor shoes, stayed outside, you know,
Yeah.
Lysol, wipes, the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I think people are understanding that, and we do have a lot of virtual tools that we can use. And I don't know if either of you guys have ever sold a house where the client hadn't been in it. I have once over the years in a specific situation. Perhaps you guys have as well.
Yeah. John, Marc, have you?
No, not myself personally.
We've had an awful lot of Global Affairs Canada, RCMP, relocation, D&D, and there's been a high number of transactions actually that we've been through. I've been through where we didn't meet the client till the closing day when they got the keys, and it was all done virtually. I guess the change right now is certainly showing times are way down, but as you said, Dan, we're seeing digital activity, virtual tours, that kind of thing. And I find realtors are spending a lot more money up front preparing the home, like pre-inspections, interactive eye guides, video. I even noticed one realtor has a video where they open up all the, under the sinks and video the foundation. Really, yeah, I thought that was a great idea. And what I'm hearing is inspectors, we haven't been through this yet in the last couple of weeks, but inspectors are going in alone. I know for the listing side, the marketing people are going in alone. No one goes in the house. And actually, the last few properties we've dealt with have actually been vacant. So that certainly has made it a lot easier. But yeah, so I think so many realtors like you guys, this is not new for us. What's actually new is, to go in a house for 5 minutes with buyers and you have to make a decision very quickly. That's probably what's new, because you can't linger in the house. Yeah. But again, the transactions I'm seeing, the people aren't even going into the homes right now.
Wow. Okay. So it's happening. I did also notice that showing times, lots of realtors were reducing it from an hour. You could only book half an hour for your showings. And there was no overlapping showings as well for just about all the listings. And that was over a week ago. That's right. When I
and it's certainly dropped off and will likely drop off again. And I hear the message loud and clear: stay home, stay safe. And that's what we want for everyone, because we're all trying to flatten the curve. We signed up for something we didn't expect, and that was to serve in an extraordinary time. And certainly everybody I know is doing a very high level of qualification, and unless the people have to buy or sell, we're not just lingering and doing this because we want to see what the house looked like and what it sold for. That's not happening.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any other particular subject you wanted to bring up, Jean-Marc? It's okay if you don't.
I guess one thing would be is kind of maybe to ask yourself or Susan what you're doing differently, or what, like as far as projecting out where things will be in a few months, what are you doing differently with your clients that you wouldn't be doing in other times?
I know that we're trying to deliver messages of, can we help you? That is actually non-real estate related. Like if someone needs help, please reach out, because we're resourceful and mobile. And although our goal is to stay home and follow the federal and provincial orders and municipal orders, some people, are elderly and not well, and someone's got to help them get groceries. So we're sending those kinds of messages versus buying and selling messages and responding to their inquiries. And of course, we're trying to anticipate where this will all, how this will end up. And it seems, I can't actually put a timeline on it, but I do believe once the market starts to pick up, there'll be a bit of a roller coaster, but then I believe there's still so much pent up demand from such a long period in Ottawa region. I think we should be taking our time and enjoying our time as best we can with our families right now, because there's a train coming down the tracks in more ways than one. And what people don't realize is they think realtors, all we do is buy and sell real estate. Well, I often think it's more of a community service. Unfortunately, we get paid sometimes for that work. I see that we're helping people in the biggest transition in their life, whether it be job, whether it be family change, whether it be good things and bad things, but we're often a part of that journey. And I never actually think of buying and selling, to be completely honest. I just think it just happens that these people need help, and fortunately we're helping them with shelter and life savings.
Yeah, that's great. We said it better than I could, so that's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, what do you think will happen with the next, like, assuming this lands in 4 to 6 months, maybe longer? Do you think it'll be a V-shaped curve? Do you think it'll be a roller coaster, then a belt? Like, how do you see this rebounding?
I think there's going to be people forced out of the market, jobs. I think there's a lot of people. There was an incredible pent-up demand, which we have experienced, certainly in the last year, 18 months. And then it seems to have, became very, the biggest seller's market in as long as I know, certainly into January, February this year, even though it was still the winter. I think we're going to come back strong. I don't know if it's in 6 weeks or 9 weeks or 6 months, but I think we won't be weather dependent when it comes back. I think even if it's November and if we're locked up until November, not projecting that, I have no idea. I think it will be non-weather dependent. There will be people out to buy, and there will be people that will choose to sell that are waiting now. People that don't need to sell. When it's safe to do so, both parties will come out very strong, is what I think will happen.
And, I know we have a great networking community of realtors in Ottawa. And lucky for me, I have somebody like Phil Soper and a fantastic owner, Pierre de Varenne, and they're sharing excellent information with us. The other day, Phil Soper said, don't quote me, but I think he said that there's at least 15 years of a shortage in housing supply. And that will not go away. Like, even though some people will get knocked out of the market, they're already getting knocked out of the market in Ottawa because of price. And some of them, they have to go into their savings. So home ownership, that dream will change. However, again, we have millennials will be buying. We'll have new immigration still, and we will definitely have circumstances change in families where there'll be trade ups, trade downs, and people need help. But Ottawa tends to be still very, very different from the rest of the country. And as you know, the news we hear is not often pertinent to Ottawa. Correct. And we're very lucky. It's tied to other things like government downsizing when we see a slower market. And I know we've all talked about this before, like, even when our market is slow, it's nothing like the rest of North America. It's just, you might not make as much equity this year. But
graph, is like, we're in kind of an upward trend, but most of the time there's been a few dips, but the dips are minimal compared to Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, Canadian markets that see bigger highs and lower lows than we
Yes. Yeah. And I know that again, that we talk about this, but it might not come across, but the health and safety of our clients comes first. And we're seeing a lot of change right now, only because there's still so many unknowns around this virus, and we have to stay safe. So is going into someone's home safe? Well, probably not. And but the transactions are still occurring at this time until the government tells us otherwise. And you know, everybody I know heeds the direction we're given, and I think wants what's best for everyone.
Okay, there was a few stories in the news. Unless Jean-Marc, do you have something to say right now, or?
I actually agree with everything Susan just said.
Yeah,
I see the same things. I mean, one thing I might add is that the people that are kind of driving the market, I think a lot of them, I mean, obviously are federal employees. I do see that, and like she said, you know, millennials. I think where probably it's going to be difficult are for those people that already found it difficult to be purchasing a home in this market. Those people that are entering and trying to buy those townhomes that are in the still, you know, 450 range to 500 range. Yeah, I think in this situation, when you see like mortgage rates right now, where you think mortgage rates would be dropping, they're actually increasing. So in some cases, making things a little bit more difficult. You know, they're concerned about people's jobs, and yeah, I think that's going to cause a bit. But I still think that there's, like Susan said, there's such a backlog. The demand is out there, and there's very short supply. And how is that really going to change in this market? I don't really think it's going to change that much.
Yeah, I'm going to throw in a few stories here from recent news. Bloomberg has a story that refers to an RBC, a recent update that I thought I had here. Oh yeah. A tough but temporary blow to Canada's housing market. So this is by RBC Economics, Robert Hogue. I don't think you guys had access to it, but it just talks about social distancing to severely disrupt spring house hunting season. I think that's an obvious statement. So, you know, we should maybe listen to what RBC has to say. So they are projecting a 30% decrease in the number of sales this year to a 20-year low in the number of sales in Canada.
Wow.
And they also expect property values will fall briefly, whether it's weeks or months, and that unemployment will affect it. And eventually, sellers will have to make some concessions on price. Again, this is across Canada.
Yeah, but it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And don't you think that many of the neighborhoods you work in the homes you see, that we've been undervalued for so long?
I believe that. I actually, you know, especially when you go to other cities, you visit a friend in Toronto. I'm not comparing us to Toronto, you know, necessarily, but there's a massive difference in pricing in the core and all the way out to past the green belt, right? So, Jean-Marc, did you have something to mention?
No, I was just going to say, going back to what Susan said about, you know, like Ottawa being such a strong market, just we're a different market, right? We have a steadier kind of job rate. Where this is going to, you know, when you're looking at those stats, I really think like if you take in like Alberta with what's going on in the market there and oil and that sector, I think that is where, like, you know, in this time, that real estate and all those declines and that 30%, 20 to 30% loss could happen. Yeah. In Ottawa, I don't think we can possibly fluctuate that much.
That's not pricing, that's number of sales, by the way.
Yeah.
Pricing,
yeah. But I think like number of sales definitely, well, I mean, you might see a lot of sales in Alberta, right? With people losing their jobs, oil sector.
Somebody's got to buy, though. Somebody's got to buy. That's the problem.
Anyway, there's always buyers, right, Dan? Always buyers.
Wow.
Right price.
All right. So Real Estate Magazine, Rem Online, just had a story today, how to show a property through video chat. They talk about different apps to use and different ways to do it, which we referred to earlier. What's this? Oh, this is interesting. OREA, the Ontario Real Estate Association, put out clauses used in a state of emergency. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but we do have special clauses for state of emergency use that can be used by realtors to help protect buyers and sellers. Did you guys, do you know anyone, or let's put it another way, there are people deferring their mortgages. They're asking, and Toronto Dominion, what is this? Is this Globe and Mail? Oh, the Regina Leader Post noted that Toronto Dominion has approved 60,000 mortgage deferral requests so far.
Yeah.
That's
and you know what? Why wouldn't you use the options if they're available? I mean, I do understand there could be a credit rating issue. However,
that's the next point. Yeah.
There'll always be, they'll have to come up with solutions around that. Yeah. I mean, the poor server that works down the street at the pub who bought their first home or has a single parent, nobody saw this coming. Yeah. So of course they're going to have to rely on the services, but I just hope that they're not penalized for relying on them. So
the key part is that the bank got through them. Like that is, they've been able to do the work, which I find incredible. I'm super, that's TD, right? TD does a lot of mortgages, but they're certainly not, RBC is probably the biggest. And then I've been listening to multiple calls for bank, how do I put this? So I'm a mortgage broker. I own a mortgage brokerage as well. So I get some information through the lines. And all the smaller banks, the secondary lenders, they're doing everything they can, all hands on deck, all working from home, trying to help people delay. Because a lot of these people that might be unemployed, newly unemployed, maybe weren't dealing with one of the top 5 banks in Canada, secondary lenders. So this is super important for them. Anyways, I have numbers until today, and that's just TD, and I assume that was a story 20 hours ago. So that's from yesterday. So
Dan, do you see a rise in B lenders, like an increase in utilizing those types of lenders coming down?
Yeah. When people are having more trouble and the banks tighten up, the big banks, there will be more. I think there will be for sure, and we'll probably see an upsize in even private lending at some point. Not yet, maybe, which you generally have to go through a mortgage brokerage. But that's not my main business, so I don't really want to go into that. But I've listened to 5 conference calls with 5 bankers on each call. So. There's a lot of information that's being shared on how to move forward on that. Now, go ahead.
Just because you do know the mortgage side of things, maybe you don't know the answer to this, but I was just wondering, like, how does it really work with the deferral of the mortgage payments? So if we come out, like, is it deferred for a set period of time? When they come out, now they have to pay all the extra interest plus all those back. So what's going to happen when, let's say, we go through this for another 4 or 5 months, and right now people don't have the money, they're deferring those, and then all of a sudden they owe $7,000-8,000 that they don't have that money. What happens?
So you're not now. First of all, how long is it? It depends on the bank. They'll start with 2 or 3 or 6 months. That depends on the bank, right? And then any interest that you're not paying down with each payment will get added to your principal, is my understanding. And then frankly, I expect there'll be a lot of people refinancing to not take care of this, or, to get some cash out when they can, or after the fact, they will be refinancing or extending. Yeah.
Hey guys, I see the province has a news conference on now.
Sure.
Do you want to sign off, or do you want to keep going?
We'll sign off. I'll